Nole Nation, welcome in to another episode of the Renegade Rundown. As always, it's me, George, my beautiful, lovely co-host, Jen Santee, aka at Jen Santee 1890 on X. We have a special guest today. We were lucky enough to talk to James, who is out there covering the combine. And now we're lucky enough to speak to Rob Deloach, aka at Rob_Deloach on X, if you guys want to go follow him. He was at the combine as a proud parent, able to see that side of it. And so now we've got day 3 in the books. Nothing really going on today, just offensive linemen. Florida State doesn't have any offensive linemen out there. So we're going to get to talk to Rob about his experience and Kalen's amazing performance. He runs a 4.4740, all kinds of exciting stuff. And then we can talk about the rest of the guys, the defensive backs and the wide receivers and running backs that put on a show yesterday. So just a ton of fun stuff to cover. And we appreciate you for joining us.
Yes, sir. Thanks for having me.
It's awesome. I was worried that you wouldn't have anybody you want to talk about today.
Man, I'll tell you what, no rest for the wicked. The folks at home, I'm not sure if all of them know. You're out here, you've got a son that's at Georgia, balling out. Of course, Kalen Deloach, our star linebacker, is your son. But you also train a bunch of young guys, just like you trained Kalen coming up. You've got a place called the Factory over there in Savannah, Georgia. So I believe you had an engagement in Athens to take care of with Jalen yesterday, coming straight from the combine, and then bam, you finally get home, and you're right in the gym working out.
Yes, sir.
How do you do it, man?
Hey, man, just keep going, man. Let's just keep going. I might need to do a advertisement for the Energizer Bunny. Just keep going. Just keep going. Now, we
That's
had a
right.
great experience. We flew out to Indy on Wednesday and just kind of got a snippet of some of the expectation. And the most important thing is that they don't make clothes in Georgia for weather in Indianapolis. I can tell you that. It was
Man,
cold and windy.
that's the first thing I asked James when he got up earlier. I was like, "Did you have to invest in one of those like $1,000 coats?" I don't think people from the South realize like the
No.
coat game. If you live up there, is a different deal. Like that's an investment, like a 10-year
Yes.
coat type
Yes.
thing.
Yes. It's kind of like we invest in swimsuits and things like that. But yeah, it was a different beast up there in Indianapolis, but it was worth the trip.
Absolutely. What was the biggest surprise? I guess your first chance to get up there and experience that whole thing. I guess out of the process, what kind of stuck out to you that you didn't expect going in?
Well, I didn't really know what to expect because I had never been. So for me, as a parent, I just trying to soak it all in because where we started at playing football at 5 years old to now here we are with opportunity to be at the NFL Combine. I mean, I tell you, we didn't plan it this way. It was not in the script. But the way that they have things situated in Indianapolis, I can see why they host a lot of all-star games and different sports because the venue is set up. I mean, downtown, the hotels, the eateries, the convenience of the arenas. It's all within walking distance. So it was a great opportunity. It's my first time to Indianapolis, and we kind of took it in. I actually met the NFLPA, the new NFLPA guy.
Okay.
I actually met him. I had an opportunity to talk with him. That was new. And part of their deal now with kids transitioning from college to the NFL is that they want to include parents in the transition, which is something new because this is not high school anymore. It's kind of like you drop them off and they transition to college. The same thing with the pros. Rookie deals going in. It's a lot of them have opportunity to be millionaires for the first time in their life, and to have parent involvement, was huge hearing it from him.
Well, I'll tell you what, for a lot of years, that was the thing. Some of these people were characterized as parasites and things, any kind of agent or union. Like, so it was like separate from the parents, separate from the people who might steer them in this direction or that. One good thing about NIL coming about earlier and earlier, these kids like Kalen being able to have a social network platform, all these things, there's no really hiding. And I've got to stop saying my dealers with that. But I guess that is a benefit of how fast these kids have to grow up these days in terms of having an image as soon as you turn 18 and get to Florida State. You know what I mean? That stuff, everything that you do, everything you post, it all matters. So I love to hear that. And, I'll just say for Kalen, he's lucky to have a pretty amazing set of parents and family.
Oh man, I would, for me, people say, "Well, Rob, how do you do it?" And I'm like, as a parent, I thought that's what you're supposed to do. Create opportunities and build relationships, not only for me, but for Kalen and Jalen and Taylor, but also for the kids in my community. So if I can help someone and, picking up the phone or a text or email, then I feel good about having those opportunities to be able to help someone. And that's what it all boils down to. To me, relationships matter.
Absolutely. Going into the combine, there's a lot of talk about the different 40 times. It's one of the biggest kind of X factors when you see the combine, something you can really put a stamp on, because people don't know what to make of a 3-cone drill or a shuttle drill unless you're somebody like us that's really looking at kind of like comparing to previous years. That 40 time, it really sticks out. Was Kalen going in there expecting to hit those 4.4s? Was that a big surprise? It was pretty awesome because a lot of times these guys struggle. Usually, if they run a second time, it doesn't get faster. So to come out and get that 4.47, that was pretty awesome. And I think it just really showed out how fast and how explosive he was, how that play at Clemson happened. Beating out safeties and DBs by 0.2 of a second is pretty amazing. I believe he was the 4th fastest linebacker overall, or I got that wrong. 2nd fastest linebacker overall, 3rd fastest of the front 7 overall. Excuse my language. Don't let me sound short on that one. Yeah, 2nd fastest linebacker, 3rd fastest in the front 7 overall. I don't even know where my question started, but that 4.4 was that a surprise, or was that pretty much the range y'all expected going in?
Well, he ran in high school. Kalen was all of the kids ran track. And now, Taylor's still gonna be the fastest because he actually had a scholarship for track. So, and JJ just outgrew it, to be 6'9", so he didn't have a choice. So Kalen, he was a thrower. He shot put in discus, and he
Okay.
just because he didn't like to wear the little onesies, growing up. So he preferred, I just throw because they didn't have to wear the little onesie suits for track and field. And then as he got into high school, he kind of transitioned over to track. So he was the anchor on their state championship 4x1 team. So in his mind, he was always faster than Taylor, but we know that's not to be true. But he was, he was a 4.58 his senior year. So I would assume with getting older and a little stronger that he might run, 4.5, which he did on the first one. And he said he was just a little nervous. But everybody in the world is watching you. And then once he calmed down, his goal was to run a 4.4 something. And it just happened, 4.47. We'll take it. I was excited. I never show emotions. And people around there tell you I always keep the same game face. But when your kid goes out and performs, I'm probably more happy for him and the people that he trained with, his teammates that supported him. All the guys at the combine, they all pulling for each other. Although they're all trying to make a team and have a good showing, but they were all supportive of each other and his performance.
Absolutely. And don't let me hog all the questions, Jen, if you have anything.
No, I
jump
was
in
just
there.
wondering, like, which safeties were you talking about that he was faster than? That's
Well, there's these pair of guys from Miami that, they want to say are
Sorry.
wide receivers really a tight end, and they want to act like Jalen's this and that. And it's pretty crazy. He goes out there and outruns them by, what was it, 17 hundredths of a second, I guess you would say, almost 2/10. It was pretty funny.
You know me,
You
I
gotta
got to
get
get my
that-
dig in there. I can't
You got
help
to get
it.
that rib in there when you can.
It's Jesus's day. I can't lie on Jesus's day. So I had to get out what I had to get out because then I just wouldn't be being me,
That's right. Petty is
Gotcha.
Jen's favorite color, as we all know. When it comes to preparing for these things, there's a difference in football speed and 40 speed, but it just goes into your preparation, your ability as a professional and everything else to go to that combine and really shine and be tuned in.
Mm-hmm.
So what's been the difference? When you see 12 different guys go in, really Florida State, and that's what we've been selling, dominated, flawless victory, fatality at the NFL Combine, because pretty much across the board, it's all just 80th, 90th, 95th, 98th percentile at pretty much all the tests across the board. Like, is there just something different that's done at Florida State? Are they preparing these guys as freshmen? Is that something, just the detail into the different things? Because it's pretty amazing that it just seemed like the FSU guys were more prepared than everybody else.
Well, I think it started way before the combine. They were all locked in after the Cheez It Bowl. And the goal was to win a national championship, not to be in the national championship, but to win it all. So with that type of mindset, that type of vision, it takes a different type of mentality and a different mindset. And it's all about holding each other accountable. And, every week you saw the team go out, they got closer. They prepared themselves. They worked hard. We never heard anything about kids getting in trouble at Florida State for the last 4 or 5 years, which is good. That means that things are being right. The players were holding each other accountable. Coaches were, doing their part, in the community, probably looked out for them quite a bit, like they should. I'm not saying it was all perfect, but, me and you might have got a ticket when me and they might have got by, So we know that, they do have some perks when you win.
Absolutely. And I mean, if as a whole, if you're known in the community as having respect and taking responsibility for your actions, you can get off on those little freebies,
Yes.
things like that are just, a warning on a ticket when you're not doing 120 in a parking garage, putting people's lives in jeopardy and things of that nature, or waving AK-47s around campus, which, we won't get into the names and the different stories, but it's something run rampant here the past 5 years. And like you said, it's a thing of beauty seeing the program at Florida State and where it's been not having those issues for once.
Yes. So I think, when you have 12 guys that get invited to the combine, played in various all-star games, it says a lot about the leadership, with, Coach Novell and his staff, and then having a great AD, great school president, community buy-in, not only at Florida State, but, they have a great relationship with FAMU. So the city of Tallahassee is, I guess it's getting back to where it used to be when you're having winners. And most people want to be associated with winners.
Absolutely. There's no doubt about that. Gianni FSU with a great question here. You mentioned that you got to speak with the NFL PA. I'm not sure if that was on air or in the pre-production, but Gianni FSU has a great question. He says, do NFL teams interview the parents? So were these different teams that Kalen was able to meet with, or these guys, GMs and things, trying to reach out and interview the parents?
Sorry about that.
You're just fine. Did you hear the question? Can you hear me? You may have to back out. I'm not sure if you can hear me.
Can you hear us?
Yeah.
I don't think you can.
Yeah, you can't hear us. You're going to have to back out maybe and come back in. Let's see here. I just have to bump him, and then he'll jump back in.
Okay. Oh, goodness. The internet.
Yeah, it's one of those things. StreamYard is bugging out.
See, we'll get him back in just a second, guys.
Yeah, that is a great question, though, Gianni. We were speaking earlier about how the parents are a lot more involved these days as we move forward, and these kids, they're from the time they're 17, 18, getting recruited, heading to school. They have, they've got a brand they've got to worry about. So these kids are way, way farther along, and they're not so apt to just, show up to, it's like, you go into Hollywood or showing up to Indianapolis and the big stage where all these agents and GMs poking and prodding. They're not so quick to just go down the road and be yes men to do exactly what sign here, sign over your rights here, do this, do that. Their parents are going to be involved, whoever their network of help is. So that's a beautiful thing, and I'm really curious what he's going to say if he was interviewed by the different clubs.
Absolutely. I think that's a great question. I think it's a interesting. Actually, I think it would be a great approach. I mean, everybody when they go for jobs needs references, right?
Absolutely. And
And who's
these
a
guys,
better? I mean,
they get into their background. So,
if you're
for
putting millions of dollars in these kids, wouldn't you talk to friends? Wouldn't you talk to their high school teachers? I'd talk to college professors. I would talk to anybody and everybody. I would think you're wanting to give somebody how much money a year to start off? And you've never seen them play like on a NFL field, right? I mean, they're starting out however, in college, yes, you have film tape from college, and that is a huge amount of pressure too. But the NFL is a whole other game. That's a whole, yeah, that's absolutely. I could see them if I were running an NFL team. I would talk to high school teachers. I would see how they were in high school, how they were versus how they were in college. How much do they change? What is their maturity level? What is their maturity growth in between those levels? I would have no problem. And I think that just is smart to do that.
absolutely. Rob jumped in and said to give him a minute to reconnect. Maybe his AirPods died or something. So we'll give him a minute. He'll be back with us. What did you think of day 3 of the draft? What was your biggest takeaways? How about our guy, Jarian Jones, the comeback kid, a guy who took a lot of heat earlier in his career, wrongly, rightly, some so a little bit, or super early in his career, but I mean, just turned it around, called his shot, pretty much said, I'm going to be all ACC. We're going early in the draft, all this stuff. I'm going to show everybody that they were dead wrong. And he comes out and walks down that nickel position and was just an absolute beast. I believe he was first team or second team all ACC, and comes out and runs a 4.38 40. I mean, just smoking at that nickel position at his size. It really is a beautiful thing. And you couldn't happen to a better person. Coming into the season, people probably had him projected as a day 3, maybe day 4 pick, 4th, 5th round type guy. And unbeknownst to part of the world, a lot of us were, a lot higher on him this year after getting shut up last year. I thought he really had a great season last year. But this year, I mean, it was his coming out party. And I would not surprise me to see him bumped up into that second round. Not a lot of people jumping on that train with me. But what do you think? What do you think he can get up in the second round, or where do you think he'll end up?
I would like to see him in the second round. I do think he's going to be maybe a mid-second round, possibly early third round pick. That's what I would like to see. I could definitely see him actually going early in the second round. I think we just got to see where other people are drafted, and then you can kind of make predictions from there. But good kid. I love that kid. He, good for him. Just wish him the best. And I just hope he doesn't get stuck going to play for like the Panthers or something,
Yeah, we wouldn't want to wish that on anybody with where they're at right now, unfortunately. But yeah, another big day. Johnny Wilson is a guy that we have just grown absolutely fond of here at the Renegade Report. Most of Florida State Nation absolutely loves Johnny Wilson. He shows up here in 2022, similar to Trey Benson, who we'll get to in a second, with very little film, but has a big year in 2022 and just really blossoms this year. Comes out at the combine. We all knew he was going to put up freak type numbers, despite what the naysayers, the rival fans, and this and that might want to say. Me and Chris were talking about it on the phone the other day, and I was like, Johnny's going to run a 4.5, and people's going to freak out. I think he guessed 4.54, and I guessed 4.52. He comes out and runs a 4.53. Pretty amazing deal for Johnny Wilson. Unreal. He had I think 87.5-inch spread with his arms. I think it's a record at the largest wingspan of any wide receiver of all time in the NFL combine. I forget the exact shuttle time. It was something 0.11, but it was good for 4th in the combine and some unreal fastest time ever for somebody his size. It was just an unreal performance. But what did you think about Birdman's performance at the combine? How high do you think he helped himself?
I mean, look, I think they all did really well. I loved all their performances at the combine. I have to admit, my favorite part of the combine, though, was trolling the Miami fans. I'm not going to lie. The guys did great, but I expected them to do great because they're great players. no matter what ESPN or the College Football Player Committee wanted to say about them. So I think they exceeded expectations. And look, Johnny Wilson, I think he's going to be. What do you think? Do you think he's the second or third round or a fourth round? Because I've seen some people have him in like the fourth or fifth.
I think you got to take him in the second round.
I agree.
Personally, I think he could fall to the third just because, things like his hands and stuff during the season. But when you look at that gauntlet drill, when you look at his performance across there, I think Florida State has a chance to get 5, maybe 6 guys. And just thank you for the shout out, Bobby. Yeah, man, little by little, we don't do anything big at once, but every day I'm tweaking it, adding a little thing here with it, adding the LEDs, adjusting different lighting things. So we appreciate you noticing it. But we're just trying to get this thing to look a little bit more professional, a little bit more produced every day for you guys. But yeah, I think second round is a safe place to call it. But somebody could possibly take a flyer on a first round. He's that freak of an athlete, and that's what the combine does. It only takes one team. All it takes is one team to see them and be like, holy shit, that's our Mike Evans. We got to take a shot on him. We may never get a shot at an athlete like this in the first round ever again, because you're taking a risk there. Because if he can put it together in the NFL and become a reliable possession receiver at that size with that freak athleticism, he's just different. He's one of these different athletes. So say what you want about the NFL is great, and we all talk about it. It's totally different. But at his size, the numbers don't lie. So we'll see. We'll see if he can put it together and be that reliable guy in the NFL. But I don't think there's any way he drops past the second. If he goes to the third, I'll be really disappointed. And that takes us. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was going to let everybody know, George and I did not work this out. We are both wearing Jordan Travis shirts, and neither one of us knew either one of us was going to wear a Jordan Travis shirt. So this was not a schedule-y done thing. So we're not trying to be matchy-matchy here. This was just on accident. We both decided to wear our Jordan Travis shirts.
Yeah, just every once in a while it works out. We've got an echo coming from you for some reason there, Rob. Yeah. You may just have to click back and click back in. Okay. Unless I don't think you actually have any noise coming out on your end. It's probably just a glitch. Sorry, guys. StreamYard's being a butt today.
Okay. It's this dang internet.
I can just drop you off. That'd probably be easier for you. Yeah. What were we doing? What were we talking?
Oh, we were talking about that we didn't plan our outfits, and we did not. I was just letting everybody know that.
Repping Travis 13. We're gonna get Rob back up here. We promise. StreamYard is acting up on us today, but yeah. I love the tank top. I love my Jordan Travis shirt. It's so light. Anytime it's hot, like it's crazy. It's like freezing cold one day, hot the next. Right now it's about 80, 85 degrees over here in the Pensacola area. So I put on my very nice, super soft cotton Jordan Travis 13 tee to relax. But yeah, the next guy up, Trey Benson. Holy moly, not to be outdone. He comes and drops down a 4.39. Talk about another guy who called his shot. He called that 4.3 in the process in the leading up. And sure enough, he came out there and smoked it. And you talk about going through the drills, and this is what I was hinting at to Mr. Deloach. Man, like Trey Benson, did you see him going through those different drills, the different routes, the angle routes, the different drills where they got you to turn on a dime, all these different things? He just looked fluid. It was like, I believe somebody on Twitter tweeted it and said, this is the Trey Benson money drill. It was just pretty amazing how fluid and how just prepared these guys look across the board. And I might as well ask what you think on Trey too. Where do you think he can sneak up into a second, third round? What do you think?
I mean, honestly, I do think he's one of the best running backs. So to me, I would say a late second. That's where I would think, just because of maybe I'm just being negative. If I had, I don't know. I think he should be late first or early second, but I have a feeling it's going to be late second, early third for him.
Yeah, I agree. But and again, it's one of those things. There's like
just,
five,
it
6
depends
guys that
on,
are right
yeah.
there. They could be second. They could be middle of the second round, or somebody could take a flyer on them. There's every possibility of that happening. We were just talking about Trey Benson. I think you got her going on right now. I think you're hooked up, man. Can you hear
Yeah,
us?
there we go.
Oh
Is
yeah,
that better?
perfect. Look like
Can you
you're
hear
It's
me?
the
ESPN.
internet.
Oh, he can't hear
Eh,
us. Can you not hear
All right,
us?
put the volume on. Can you hear me?
We can hear
Yeah, we
you,
can hear
buddy.
you.
But you
We can
can't.
hear you.
I don't think
Oh,
you
you
can
can
hear
hear me?
us. Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, let's go.
Okay,
All
you
right.
can hear us.
Yes.
Okay,
Okay,
we good,
perfect.
baby. Yeah, no, you look great. You look you at ESPN Studios now, baby. We
Yeah,
doing
let's
the
go.
thing. We was just talking about Trey Benson and how he called his shot. He was very vocal before the combine, saying he was coming in 4-4. No. We getting faster than that. We getting down in the threes. Um, what you think of that performance? And also in the drills, kind of like what we were talking about earlier. He just looked like. I mean, it looked like those drills were made for him. Somebody online called it the Trey Benson money drill. Them angle routes and the different cones and stuff they had set up. He made himself some money. Like me and Jim were just talking about it. Like he's second round. I think he's solidly second round. There's a chance he could slip just because running backs. But as far as his explosivity, he's moved himself up to where it only takes one team. He could possibly slip. He could get pulled up to the first round.
It's all about a fit, for all of these kids.
Yep.
And then, the other thing, I can just only talk about Kalen's situation. I don't really know, where everybody else stands, but, just the few things that he shared with me about the process, actually started at the East West Shrine Bowl in some of his interviews. And he talked about teams that he talked with and, asked what type of defense they ran. And a lot of the teams were saying, hell, they didn't know what they was going to run because they didn't know who was going to be on their staff. So just like the college coaches and teams are looking for, staff in the NFL is it happens at that level as well. But for these kids, all they can do is prepare. And it showed this past weekend that, the training facilities that they participated in had them prepared for, for this day. These different events that they had to participate in. So I think it's only going to get better because now they know kind of what the expectations are. And I think Pro Day is probably going to surprise some other people in some of these drills.
Without a doubt. I don't doubt that one bit. We had a question before you left, and it was you talked about the NFLPA, how you got to meet with him. Did these GMs and scouts and assistants, do they reach out to you to interview you concerning Kalen as far as the different franchises reach out to the parents? We've heard of them investigating, calling ex-girlfriends and everything else, but did they give y'all an interview, give you guys a call?
No, we haven't talked to any team as of this this interview, but I have some friends that that are in the league, and they was impressed with his his 4.47 time. So just sit back and kind of see how it rolls out. He'll be home sometime this week. We're probably going to put a few more pounds on him just for it's a beauty contest at this point,
right?
For Pro Day.
It's all on film, right?
Yeah, it's all on film. The film don't lie, and they run around in t-shirts and shorts. Nobody plays football in t-shirts and shorts. So, like I said, we're gonna get him prepared, and when teams come on Pro Day, he probably 5 pounds more than he did at the combines, which is always good.
Absolutely. Have you had those conversations? You spoke about the different teams not knowing necessarily what defense they might run, but we know football is in a place where linebacker has become. It's like, what is a linebacker? You've got inside linebacker, you've got outside linebacker, you've got edge, you've got D end, you've got some guys that play covered, some guys just rush the passer. Is he more wanted for a 4-3? That same kind of that style he ran at Florida State, or teams open to bringing him in and adapting to like a 3-4 situation, or is anything there you have to add?
Well, I'll just say this, and Coach Harbaugh is in the league now. They recruited Kalen to be a star. kind of like Jabril Peppers. That was his outlook. Urban Meyer, when he was recruited by Ohio State, looked at him like Malik Hooker. Those kind of versatile guys, those hybrid type linebackers / safety type guys. And we all know that Kalen's not going to play middle linebacker in the NFL. It's just not going to happen. That's just not who he – I mean, he could because there have been smaller linebackers that played middle linebacker. And one of them is a head coach of the Houston Titans, so Mike Singletary.
Mean son of the gun.
But it's a new wave now where they don't have the 235, 40-pound linebackers now. The game is all speed. It's almost 7-on-7 in NFL because you can't touch the quarterback, right? We know that. And you almost can't hit the running back. Now you got to tackle them a certain type of way because of, the injuries that have been sustained with the way that these kids are having to tackle the opposing player. So a lot has changed. But I think Kalen's greatest strength going forward for any team is just who he is, his personality and his character. He's a loyal guy. He played in the game when he had an option to option out, and he didn't. Everybody had their own reasons why they did or didn't play. So just those things alone, then we add the film. I think he helped himself by running 4.4. And we all kind of knew Kalen was fast. But, to put it for the world to see. And you
on the laser.
What most of the year ranked the number 4 or 5 team. And nobody talked about our defense other than
never.
One or two
Speak
they talked
on
about
it,
Jared, and that was about it. But we had a great unit, that played with Jared, and Jared deserves every accolade that was presented to him and for him and his family. So we're not going to disregard that. But overall, our defense was probably one of the tops in the country that people just kind of took for granted. Oh, it's just Florida State.
Oh, I am so sick about the way they treated that defense. If I ever hear one analyst that was on ESPN or any more talking head talk about defense wins championships, I'm going to choke them out. I don't feel like you have the right to ever say that again and then say that those kids should have been left out of the playoff. Never again. I don't want to hear it. You have lost your right to have that opinion. I'm sorry. Because the Florida State defense, regardless of what anybody wants to say about, whatever your metrics are for the offense to lose their identity or whatever it is that they were saying, that defense was playing so lights out at the end of the year. The same college football playoff committee that ranked Louisville number 14 and the number 9 offensive performance in the country until they played that Florida State defense. I'm sorry. I don't have the words for you. They ranked them there. I didn't. Florida State fans didn't rank them that high. Y'all did. And then you said it wasn't that big of a deal that they shut their asses down. I don't have the words for that. It's so again, they did it to themselves. So that defense was so stacked. It was so stout. It played so well. I give them all the accolades, everything that they can possibly take. It's just sick. It's really sick what they kind of did. I'm sorry. I don't need to go off on one of my rants here.
No, it's okay because you got to think preseason, they were talking about Harold Perkins and Jeremiah Trotter, and those guys are great athletes.
Oh, yeah.
But we had a great team. We had a great overall team defense. Yep. We didn't have just one-trick ponies. Collectively, everybody held each other accountable. And, unbeknown to me and a lot of the parents, after the Boston College game, Tatum and Kalen had a defensive-only meeting about how the hell did they score 30 points, So I think, we talk about accountability. The guys wanted to be held accountable. And that was without the coaches, having to orchestrate the meeting. Mm-hmm. So that says a lot about, Jed Verse having to, take some responsibility. Fabian, Fis, Akeem, Jarian, Renato, they just like, okay, all right, let's go. And they just took it up a notch, and it showed on the field. Clemson game, I think, was the real kicker when when they really settled down. It's like, man, we can do this. And we could talk about that play. But
oh man, that was the play. It'll never be forgotten. I don't think that play will ever be forgotten. When that happened, I'm not kidding you. I probably almost stepped on my dog, knocked over my poor son, who was like going, "What is going on?" He's a baby. He's like, "Mommy, pick me up." I'm like, "No, there's something going on here that's way more important." I'm kidding. I'm joking.
Well, we can look at it real quick, and hell, we'll talk about it. Let's look at it. Bam! Oof. What an amazing play.
So when we look at this, I look at it. Look at all the guys that are running. That's a team. That's everybody that's bought in.
Mm-hmm.
That's 5 or 6 guys busting their tail, trying to create a lane to get this ball into the end zone.
It really was a thing of beauty, man.
That was
a thing of beautiful.
That's Fist. That's Verse. That's Peyton. That's Tatum. That's everybody trying to, it's like, come on, what we doing here? And then, the snippet in that I laughed about is Kalen said, "Put your best on tape."
Yeah, I love it. I love it.
This, I'm his dad, and I've been with him all his life. But some of the stuff that he says, I'm just like, man, where does he get it from? I blame his mom.
That had to be just so exciting to watch that play as his dad, though. Like, how bad did you just want to jump up out of you? I can't imagine.
Well, it's crazy. I had no idea. I'm not a football guy. I am a basketball guy. But Tatum's dad, Greg, was behind me. He was like, man, we just need a play. We need a stop. And then, we just watching the game, and all of a sudden, to be honest with you, I didn't see Kalen hit the quarterback. All I saw was him running, and everybody was jumping up and down. When he started running, then I started stepping over people, hot dogs and fries and beers and grandmamas and everybody.
What a huge moment.
After, if you look at it, he was looking at me because he knew, where we sit at.
I love that.
And I was trying to get there I don't know what the hell I was going to do.
Did y'all get to hold on to the ball? How does that work?
I didn't get the ball because, at Clemson, you remember when...
Oh, that's right, because it was at Clemson.
Yeah, Jermaine made a play the previous year, when he sat and he threw the ball up, and they gave us a flag. So I was like, nah, we don't need to do anything in Clemson.
That is true.
But after that play, I was done. It was like 150 degrees out there, but I was done the rest of the ride home and everything. So, just one of those things as a team collectively. Tatum made the call, because Kalen was on the other hash. Tatum made the call, and it just happened. I don't think we can duplicate that on any level, for the way that it was, Coach Fuller made the call, Tatum relayed it to Kalen, and somehow he came from left field. I guess that's what that 4.47 looks like, full speed with pads on.
Man, the closest thing it reminds me of is LaMarcus Joyner in 2013 when he acted like he was going out, and he turned around and rushed the passer and got there. And I'm about to look up LaMarcus Joyner's 40 time, but it's probably pretty close. They probably run about the same speed, and people just how is he doing it? We can't be that fast, but it's they finally got him on that laser, and it did not lie. 4.47, just an absolutely blazing time for a linebacker. You just love to see it, man.
I did. I loved it. So, I've spent the last 2 days just probably being a little bit of a troll because of it. But, looking at kids like Kalen and looking at this, when they were snubbed, when they were told they weren't good enough, all these things, just to watch them come out and do this well. I love every minute of it. And I hope, that they go to the best teams that they possibly can, because you're right. The fit is what matters, right? That's how you will be successful, is the fit. I don't want to put anybody on the spot. I'm just wondering, is there a place that he would love to go, or are there a couple places he would like to go as far as fit goes, or are you guys just going to play it out and let's see where he falls?
Listen, all this is icing on the cake.
Yeah.
Regardless of where he lands or what round he get drafted, or when he gets drafted, it's all icing on the cake for me as his
absolutely.
So he doesn't have a job, so he got to find a job.
Word of the day, J-O-B, right?
Yeah, he got to find a job. This is a profession he chose, so he'll land somewhere, and wherever he lands, I'm quite sure he's going to be excited. We're going to be excited. The community here in Savannah be excited. The kids in the gym actually in between sets. Coach had them watching the combine in the beginning. Then when Kalen came on, the kids just went crazy because now they can touch, feel, see, touch somebody that's from their hometown. They actually work in the gym that's actually at the combine. So, I'm quite sure he has some teams that he's interested in that I can speak on. Is probably somewhere in Florida or somewhere in Texas because he talks about taxes.
Yeah.
So for tax purposes, somewhere in Texas or somewhere in Florida.
Yes, Texas and Florida. Tennessee works too. I live in Tennessee, but the Titans are, lots of luck with that, but that's fine. As a Bucks fan, would love to have him for the Bucks. I'd be cheering left and right, but
talk about a linebacker culture to get into. That'd be amazing.
Yes.
I've heard some rumors that he reminds them a lot of Derek Brooks.
Ooh.
It's a hell of a comparison, man. I'd love to see it.
I was like, come on now, y'all. That's a whole nother level there. When you talking about comparing to Derek Brooks, come on.
I'd be the first one to buy that Bucks jersey if that's where he goes. I can tell you that right now. I still wear my Jameis one all the time.
Right.
I know he plays for the Saints, whatever. He's still my number one Bucks player to me,
But, those are high accolades to be compared to Derek Brooks on any level, college or pro.
Absolutely.
He's the ultimate professional football player, but he's a great human being as well. So if people give you those characteristics in comparison to Derek Brooks, so evidently you have high character, you have some integrity, and then you happen to play football as well. So we'll take those.
Absolutely. There was a lot of questions about this team. There wouldn't have been any difference in the game if everybody played, and if y'all would have got the playoffs, this and that. I think if there's one thing that this combine has done, unfortunately, we didn't get to see this team legitimized in the college football playoff. We didn't get to see them put their stamp on the end of it and show the world the fullest capabilities they had. We got to see it in the ACC championship. There was no team. 13 teams got defeated. They couldn't beat us. A room of people did. That's what happened. But at the combine, I think what you're seeing, especially with the defense, just with the density of the talent being there, there's no question that was probably the best defense in the nation. Who had as many just stars and freaks and as much team speed as Florida State? It's not. And there's a lot of guys left. You know what I mean? This is just in this one particular draft. I went on record saying that they got a shot of breaking the draft record. The 3-year draft record at Florida State is 29 players. They've got a shot. Norvell has got a shot over the next couple of years because it's a program. These dudes that are starting at this point for Florida State, if you're starting, you're a bad man with jam, pretty much. It's like this. It ain't easy.
Yeah.
Coach has talked about, speed on the field. I mean, if you read his tweets after every performance, speed, because it's the new game. So part of, you asked the question earlier, do they train for this? No, it's a mindset because guess what? They race coach every day in practice.
I'm glad you brought that up. I mean, you can't help but think about that. When you see the guy from Texas, you see this guy with a bad 40 time, and then you see Braden Fisk ball out with this great 40 time. You see Kalen's great 40 time, Jerry and all these guys, and you think about it, well, it's like, are these other guys, are there other defensive linemen doing 100, 120-yard race down the field after practice every day? No. It's a beautiful thing.
No, they're riding on golf carts. Are they walking?
Well, Miami guys hit a wall if they tried to do it.
Yeah.
Look, I saw somebody post that Mike was faster than the Miami safeties, and I about fell out of my chair. I could not take it.
So you can imagine, Robert Cooper started this trend, and Cooper was well over 300 pounds. And, he was giving his all. But, sometimes it's not about winning. It's about competing. And it just, Coach Novell brought that intensity is that, hey, we're going to compete. We're going to compete even in warm-ups. and to challenge 300-pound linemen to run 100 yards, 80 yards or however far they are, running. In Miami, they don't have the option. It's only 60.
It's
But in Florida
hilarious.
State, we got full course meal. We can run through the wall, but it's just it's a good start to practice. It's great leadership. That coach is leading from the top. That he's willing to get in there and run with his guys, and you see other players joining in. Actually, Coach Novell. So in our world, we say iron sharpens iron. So when the kids hold the coach accountable, then the coach hold the kids accountable. But then, hey, you're having a lot of fun. And then practice is just like I've never visited a practice. Kalen's whole career there, I can only imagine the intensity of what a practice looks like.
Oh, really? So you've never been to a practice?
I love being a dad.
Yeah.
I just love coming and fellowshipping with other parents. I don't want any special privileges because what they say my son is, no, I want to be just a dad, come to the game, have a seat, get some popcorn, and cheer when we win, and I'm going to cheer when we lose, however it falls, because I'm there to support the program, support the kids, and meet new parents and meet new people.
I love it, man. There's a coach on this staff that's taken a lot of heat, really 3 coaches, pretty much the entire front 7 coaching staff, Odell, Papuchis, but especially your situation, Kalen's situation, Randy Shannon have taken some heat. I've given them some heat, not really here the past 18 months. There was a period of time when I was really I wasn't really happy with the recruiting, but slowly but surely I've started to see the light. I'm starting to not even crack any jokes. Like, it's just to the point of his continuity and what he's done with the development. And in this day and age where these guys, you look around at the coaching staff, everybody jumping for the NFL, all these things. And then you look at the state of FSU's linebackers and how everything's put together. I can't help but think you've got some beautiful things to say about Coach Randy Shannon and his I guess, part in Kalen's development and getting into this point.
Most people don't know Coach Shannon was All-American. He played in the NFL.
Oh, he's done it at every level, at the highest level. There's no doubt about it.
He's a South Florida legend.
Mm-hmm. Facts.
He's old school, but he's in tune to what the game is transitioning to, because he still has relationship with NFL guys that people take for granted. Coach Shannon and I, since he's been there, I probably can count on one hand the number of times that we had a conversation, because I trust that they're going to do their job. A lot of times it's not the coaches, it's our knucklehead kids that don't want to listen and don't want to buy in, and they get other people around them and kind of deter them. But coaches always, when he has called, has always been something positive. So it's never been about what Kalen hasn't done, just that we need to push him because we know there's more in him. He was one of the first people that called, his agent when he ran a 4.47. And, Coach Shannon is a man of not too many words, but, I respect him for who he is. I respect him for how he has used Kalen's talent, not only Kalen, the whole linebacker room as a whole. Just let those guys be them and then find a fit for, what they're good at. A lot of times, we try to fit them in something that just not who they are. And it's a beauty contest, but if it doesn't fit, it doesn't fit. And that's a testament to Coach Fuller as well, that they allow these guys to be the athletes and the talent level that they had. And I think it's only going to get better. You started out, what does a linebacker look like in the NFL now? They're actually running backs that play linebacker, because the offensive linemen look like tight ends that play offensive line. These guys are athletic. So, and I'm just going to share one trade secret with you guys. One, and this will probably be the only thing that I share.
Ooh.
I've learned track, but I've learned the terminology force in the ground, right? So Kalen weighs 215 pounds to whatever he weighs, but the amount of impact of force that he can create in the ground makes him play like he's 230 pounds. because he's
equal and
getting that
opposite
mass.
reaction.
It's just reaction time.
Mm-hmm.
So when you can create force in the ground, it makes you play bigger than what you are. And a lot of times, if you see him play with the 300-pound tackles, you go back to the Boston College game. That year, he had the sack in the end zone, the safety, and he hit the right tackle or left tackle and knocked him into the running back.
Yeah,
that's force in the ground.
That's physics.
At 210 pounds, and you knocking over elephants.
And when you multiply that 4.47 with that force in the ground and everything together, yeah, I'd like to see him on Sports Science get a shot at that bag, see what kind of pop he could put on it. I mean, in a different era, in a different era, you would not want to get caught by Kalen over the middle because, I mean, that could be some devastating consequences from him. There's no doubt about it.
So, Dallas Cowboys is my favorite team. And you take their middle linebacker, Marquise Bell, who was undrafted for FAMU, ran a 4.4, played middle linebacker at 205 pounds at Dallas and had 98 tackles. He was the second leading tackle on the team. So when you look at the wave of, a linebacker, hell, it's almost like a DB. But the San Diego Chargers did this, 4 or 5 years ago when they had, 5 DBs on the field at one time?
Yeah.
In the playoff game. So they actually started the trend of playing more athletic guys on the field and taking the thumpers out of the game.
Yeah, you talked about it, him getting recruited at Star, and you look at a guy like Derwin James, who's like the same weight as Kalen, really, even though he played safety his whole life. There's a lot of guys like that have transitioned that. It's just that position. It's become, like you said, what is it? But there's definitely a spot for a guy with 4.4 speed that can do a little bit of all of it. And you don't necessarily have to be that middle linebacker. It's just, it just depends on where you end up. That's got to be, I'm sure that's pretty anxious, wondering what that role is, wanting to get. It's like, obviously y'all have the training, just athletic training, but it's like there are quite a few different situations he could possibly end up in, I guess.
Yes. What's the guy that played at Notre Dame and now plays for Cleveland? He was kind of that a couple of years ago. But he plays kind of that star at Cleveland, and he's making plays.
Yeah, I'm drawing a blank, but I know exactly who you're talking about.
Yes.
I think of Telvin Smith too. Think of how light Telvin Smith was back in the day. Like a lot of people said he was a safety playing linebacker. He kind of showed that he was kind of a line of demarcation. He got into the NFL and it was like, oh crap, he's not too small. This dude's, if you can be a linebacker and get side to sideline as fast as defensive backs, I mean, it's a weapon. Now I'm trying to think of who the guy from Notre Dame is.
He plays with Cleveland now. He has a funny name, so I can't pronounce it. So
help us out, Chad. Come on now. Let's see here.
He was a first-round pick.
First-round pick. Who are we talking about here? First-round pick to.
I want to say he came out the same year. What's the guy Cal that plays for the Ravens? He may have been on that team or the team before.
Are we talking about Jeremiah Owusu?
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
Exactly.
There you go.
Boom.
Yes.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Jen. Coming in for the save because I was not doing good on my search.
Yeah, so I'm just trying to name some of those hybrid guys that were undersized, underweight to quote unquote, people who know the game, but they can't measure their heart. I don't want to go into my Jim Valvano speech.
Man, that Jim Valvano speech. Everybody should have to watch that a couple times a year.
Yes.
I love where he talks about, you should laugh, cry, all these things every day. Like it really, that hits home, man. You guys out there, you don't have to do it in front of anybody, but it's all right to cry every once in a while.
Yeah. So
throw on 8 seconds or something.
When you have that motivation, because people always underestimate you, just have that little chip on your shoulder. Because these kids know who they are, and it's media got to critique them. That's what sells. Positive doesn't sell. Negative sells all the time.
Unfortunately,
so that part of me is helping him understand it's just life. It's just how you react to it, or don't react to it. It's going to help you get through it. So it's going to happen. People are always going to have something to say, which is good. If they're not talking about you, then that's a problem.
Without a doubt.
Absolutely. I
You
agree.
haven't made it till you got a few haters out there. That's for sure.
Yeah, we like Kobe. We embrace haters.
Facts.
That's why I always say, I'm like, hey, I'm doing pretty good. I mean, my mentions are bumping, my DMs are bumping. I mean, they're not nice, but hey, why not?
It's better than none.
Somebody's going to notice if I don't read them, right?
Regardless of whether they're watching it hating you or watching it loving you, they watching it just the same. So we just fine with it. But we sure appreciate you joining us, man. We're going to open up the line. If you guys have any questions, we're getting to that point of the show, almost to an hour in with our guy, Rob Deloach. Kalen Deloach just absolutely tore up the combine, along with another 11 Seminoles down there. And that defense especially just absolutely has shown out. Jen, did you have any other questions on your mind for Mr. Deloach?
No, I think Kalen did so good. I was so happy just to watch it. I was so, I can't imagine as a parent just how proud. I mean, you've got these successful children who are so competitive, and we're not even talking about like kids playing in high school sports. You have children in multiple Division I sports, and people just don't get how hard that is and how much work that was for you guys as parents. I mean, you had to be at every event all the time. How you put yourselves at every event, I don't understand, but I know you have to try. One of you has to miss one of you has to go to another. I'm sure you guys have a plan because you can't be in two places at once. But that's just so admirable, and we're just so honored that you decided to join us today, especially just to break this down, because a lot of fans, this was kind of a hard year for them, especially after the year. And so just watching these kids, to go watch them be successful would just be amazing. It would kind of make up a little bit for the snub. We're never going to get over it with ESPN and the College Football Playoff Committee.
No,
but
it doesn't go away.
Oh no, it's not going to go. No, wait till Ireland. I'm just saying. Yeah. No, I'm not going to get arrested because I don't think I can do that overseas. I think that would be wrong. But I wouldn't do well in like an American prison because orange does not look good on me at all. Like that's not my color wheel. But especially in like an overseas prison, this is not going to go well. I mean, we are going to be a little vocal. I'm just saying we're not going to do anything illegal. But yeah, those guys, what they did to them, this was just so wrong. And I'm so glad that they came out in the combine. They really destroyed it. They did so well. And I just wish nothing for the best for all of them.
Yeah.
I can't wait to watch them.
We appreciate that as as parents. One thing for me in particular is that my dad was in the military and my mom wasn't big on sports, and my granny raised me. So definitely she wasn't getting around. But I always vowed to say if I ever had children, I didn't want to have an excuse of why I couldn't be there.
Right.
I don't necessarily, I'll casually tailgate and have a drink, but I'm focused on, if I'm there at the game, my focus is watching the kids. Because I don't want to be the one that missed something because I had to go to the bathroom and I had too many beers. You know what I mean? Or I had too much to drink and I pass out and I missed a play at Clemson. Or I'm somewhere and he intercepts the ball and I'm not there when he brings it to me in the stands. So there's just certain things as parents we just have to make sacrifices for, and partaking in pregame activities. I just chose not to do that. I'm always invited. I show up, I hang out, but I know my limits. And I always want to be respectful because I represent my son. I represent my family as well.
Absolutely.
And I have a lot of kids and, that look up to me, a lot of parents that ask questions. So I don't want to ever be caught out of pocket where I am incapacitated, where I can't, be who I am. And, people have something, on me that, they're always looking for something. So I don't want to give them any.
They sure will.
Yeah, they'll blow it up, So I don't want to give them any ammunition because then you see a different side of me. When I put that black stuff up under my eyes, it's not because I play football. It's because I'm coming for your heart. And I love being on this side of the fence. And I love this view, So, that's just what it is.
Are you going to? Do you think you'll stick around for a while? I mean, even with Kalen gone, do you think you'll stick around as far as being with the fan base and everything?
Of course.
Awesome.
It helped me, to learn. I get opportunity to meet you all.
Oh, I love it.
I love
it. We were where I was I was like, I hope he doesn't leave.
No,
good.
I mean, we had, as long as Florida State will have us, and
oh my goodness,
football and basketball and track and all that. I'm all the way with the whole brand. It's just not about football. It's about the community. It's about relationships. It's about the kids that's coming after Kalen. And I'm telling you, I'm bringing 8 offensive linemen to Florida State for their big man camp.
Say that again. 8 offensive linemen.
8 offensive. We want to have some gut on them because right now, we beefing them up. So when they come there, they're going to look like, and these are going to be 26, 27 kids. So they got some time to develop, but we're going to do our part. And I'm going to, like I said, I'm going to bring maybe 8 to 10 offensive linemen and some other players down to one of the camps. So no, I'm not going away unless they tell me, Rob, you're no longer wanted in Tallahassee.
That's never going to happen. I can promise you that. So did you see the story? And if you can't answer this, depending on what work you do with young children, I totally understand it. But with the NCAA now saying that they are no longer going to punish any NIL people, and they're going to back off of this, but are they going to get rid of Florida State's punishments?
That would be, if we're talking about doing everything right, yeah, Coach Atkins should be on the plane.
Absolutely.
It's funny, I was flying back from Indianapolis, and it was a Michigan fan that sat next to me. And then one of the stewardess, he started talking about how we got snubbed, and I was just kind of quiet. And then he said that, they didn't deserve to win their beat up because they lost their quarterback. And then, I'm like,
Lord.
Here we go.
Lord Jesus with these people. Wait, did you deserve to be there because you got busted cheating?
I'm like, okay. So last time I checked, the backup quarterback was on scholarship. The one behind him was on scholarship. They recruit these guys in an event, that something happens that we can go in and play.
Mm-hmm.
I say on top of that, we did continue to win. It may not look like they wanted to, but we still won. And then this Michigan guy says, well, I don't like how college football is going to NFL. I said, well, you got somebody's jersey on, and the kid is not getting anything for it.
Nope.
So when I had to explain to this, and I tell the media this, students have been getting NIL for years, just by being smart.
Mm-hmm.
They've been getting NIL forever. The athletes are just catching up. So there's 3 people been getting paid: the smart kids, the school, and the coaches.
Yep.
You
know what? That is such a good point you bring up, because I don't think people understand that really smart kids that are brought in on full academic scholarships, and I'm talking like at these huge, they don't only just get academic scholarships. They get
research money.
They get per diems. They get salaries for doing research.
Yes.
These are, and again, which is a great thing, being smart. Yes. Look, I have no issue with that. But guess how much it brings in on Saturdays? And guess what the schools need in order to fund said research stuff and pay these NILs, which are, I guess, technically are NILs. Some people call them grants. Some people call them, however you want to word it. But these kids are getting per diems to be smart.
Yes.
Great. Good for you. Y'all are going to. Absolutely. You're going on to be a doctor. You're going on to maybe cure cancer. You should get it. But so should the ones who pay for said per diem.
Yes.
And anybody who doesn't see that is, I can't help you.
Because it's I don't know if it's changed, but it's 77 academic scholarships to 1 athletic scholarship. So there's 77 kids on campuses around the United States of America that don't have to go to any practice. And they get free tickets. They get free tickets to the game.
Yep.
And that's good.
That's great. If you can create value, that's the thing. It's just absolute greed. Like who's to stop? They wouldn't let you have a YouTube account. Like if you could just have a YouTube account and talk for 10 minutes and, make all this money, who's to say? Or why shouldn't you be able to put your picture for sale online? Any of these kind of things. It was just, they just wanted to keep the floodgates open. It was just a greed thing. They wanted to keep building Taj Mahals and paying coaches 10, 11. I mean, coaches just 10, 15 years ago, $3-4 million was a payday.
Wow.
That was the top of the line. Saban was getting like what, $5 million in 2010 or something, and was like outrageous. It's really nuts. Now you've got Mike Norvell making $10 million. Dabo's up towards 12. Saban was close to 12 when he retired. If you can pay all those people that, you can pay the players. They've just got to figure it out. How do you feel about this NCAA where everything's going? You've had Dartmouth, pretty much win their injunction. Then you got Tennessee, like we just talked about. Tennessee and Virginia win their case, pretty much get their injunction filed to stop.
The only reason that
NIL
case got won is because Tennessee was on it. Virginia had nothing to do with it. Let's be honest. Nothing.
Virginia doesn't move the needle.
Mm-mm.
Okay.
Their brand, what is Virginia's brand? It's academics.
Nothing.
It's academics. They recruit a certain type of kid. They don't recruit 5-star athletes.
Even their basketball makes you want to slam your head into the wall. It's so boring.
It's hard to watch.
It's hard to watch.
They got beat by 30 last night.
Absolutely.
So what
so
are we
boring.
talking about?
Yeah, I would never bring up Virginia on this podcast. That was just the name of the suit.
I'm just saying. What I'm saying is, I think a lot of people are saying that Tennessee and Virginia won this injunction.
It's the name of the suit. It's the Tennessee.
I get it, but we need to look at the reality that Tennessee won this suit because it was just in Virginia's injunction. I would bet the mortgage. I would bet my next year's salary on the fact that Virginia would have lost. I'm just telling you that right now.
But it was smart.
Yeah. I think Florida State had a lot going on. They're trying to get out of the ACC. I don't think they wanted to, start trying to push back on anything more than what they were already doing. So I do get that. But the fact that Tennessee gets this overturned when they were looking at, and Tennessee had to do it this way. They had to. They were looking at multiple infractions here. This could have been like a death knell for them. So I get it, but absolutely, the NCAA is becoming irrelevant here, as they should. They should. The NCAA should oversee really the non-revenue sports. That's how I feel about it. Because once you bring money into this, everything with money gets corrupted. It doesn't matter if it's the NCAA looking at things. It doesn't matter if it's scholars looking at things. It doesn't matter if it's the government looking at things. We all know this. Nobody is above reproach here. I think you either need to say what you are, be what you are. You are a money-making entity for the school. Be controlled by maybe a commissioner. I don't know how it works. I don't know. But all these rules on these schools and their NILs and their money, everybody's getting paid.
Everybody.
So it deserves its own.
The NCAA was just organized crime. That's all they were, an organized crime organization.
You just think the people that contract these, for concessions.
Yep.
Coca-Cola, Pepsi, Budweiser, Bud Light, whoever, Michelob, whoever makes the cups, the damn napkins, Heinz ketchup, mustard, relish. I mean, everybody's getting paid.
Everybody.
If you got a product that people want to see, people are going to pay. And we had a great product last year on the field. And I don't know if you guys ever attended a game and been to the Legacy Walk. It was a tailgate.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was standing room only. Just watching the kids get off the bus and just walk into the stadium. And I could attest to this when we got there. Hell, wasn't nobody waiting to get off the bus to watch the kids walk into the stadium. Better yet, there was nobody waiting after the game to tell them, "Good job, you guys suck." It was just a parent.
It's a different thing when you're winning, ain't it, Coach?
Yeah, winning. Hey, people want to be associated with winners.
Absolutely, winning cures
all. Yeah, there you go. Sure does. I mean, maybe Miami will figure it out at some point. I hope not. But we'll see. We'll see.
Do you want to weigh in on this? We're all Big Ten on this show. How do you feel about this whole situation?
It's Big Ten. Big Ten has resources that SEC claims to have the power, but the Big Ten has the money.
The Big Ten has the political power, and I don't think people understand this.
Yes,
that is the power that you need. SEC is what people would call new money.
I would probably say that. I would probably reverse that. I would probably
say, I think the SEC is considered the new money, and the Big Ten would be, the old political power money.
I would say the SEC has probably the most influence, because they think they can. But when you talk, I'll use this example. I took Kalen on his visit to Ohio State on a Friday, Saturday. We left Saturday and went to Michigan on his visit. And I said, Kalen, we're sitting here with Coach Harbaugh and his staff. And Clark Kellogg, we went to a basketball game. It was actually Ohio State, Michigan basketball game.
I love that.
And we're sitting in the arena, and I'm like, Kalen, there's a different feel at Ohio State than it is at Michigan. And the feel at Michigan was like, this is new money up in here. This ain't no regular people working class money here. This is Chris $1 bills.
No. Yeah, no, I think what I'm saying is I think the political power of the Big Ten is more like old money type feel, where the SEC with their influence and their stuff with like ESPN and some of their newer stuff is more like what the Big Ten looks at as new money. Because old money people look at new money people like with a jaundiced eye. They're like, I think the Big Ten has more political power.
The Big Ten has said we've been here before.
Yes.
And the Big Ten covers more than just the Southeast. So they
national.
have, they're national brands. So, there's a balance. And the SEC is just this way.
Yep.
And they bullies.
I think the SEC brings you the power in ESPN, which is great. Absolutely. Obviously, would it have helped us out last year? Yeah. But going forward, if you're in the Big Ten, you're still going to get treated the same because the ESPN can't do anything about it. They can't.
The Big Ten has their own network, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm. ESPN cannot do anything about it if you're in the Big Ten. They can't. Exactly. They have to sit there and kowtow to the Big Ten, even though the Big Ten is on Fox. So ESPN has to give them the same coverage, which I know drives them nuts.
Yep.
They can't help it. I think for me, that's why I love the Big Ten for Florida State, because they've been treated so long like the redheaded stepchild of the ACC. Why go in the SEC just to be treated the same? I don't get that. No.
And the academic standards are a little different. People talk about, like Coach Saban said, he don't talk about kids graduating from Alabama because he claimed they all go to the NFL.
Yeah.
But me as a parent, I just got Kalen diploma a couple of weeks ago, and that's probably the one time that I really got excited. It's like, man, this kid really graduated from college.
See, I love that. I have a 16-year-old daughter, guys. She goes to high school during the day, or like half the day, and then she goes to college in the afternoon.
Yes.
And it's such a feeling that your child's going to graduate from college. So I just want to praise you some more for having a couple that do it,
Yeah, I got one more, and he's excited. He's actually ahead, so that's good. When you're talking about the Big Ten, you talking about, when you just talk about Michigan, which is the oldest, one of the biggest brands in the world. You can find a Big Blue person probably any place, any continent, in the world. When you're talking about branding, then you had Ohio State, Penn State. We're not going to talk about Happy Valley, but still, it's a little.
Just don't get in the shower.
Yes, don't drop
Stop
the
it. Oh Lord. Yeah, that's
woo. But Indiana, Illinois, they bring basketball. It may not be football, but they're a national brand. People recognize that. So
the bottom line is FSU is worth 10 times to the Big Ten what they are to the SEC.
Yeah,
absolutely.
The SEC already has this area sewed up. All their teams are in the Southeast quadrant. Even Texas is kind of in the quadrant. You're
Yes.
bringing eyeballs and just so many new things to the Big Ten.
Well,
and
it's
it's national, baby.
Now, sticking pin in this, one of those Texas teams is going to lead the SEC.
Yeah, there's a rumor they could go over to the Big Ten, and it would make sense. The whole reason Texas A&M came over here was to get out of Texas' shadow and stand on their own and be the Texas school of a conference. Now the Big 12, all the Texas schools are going ACC and SEC, so now they could do the same thing. Imagine you had a Big Ten and they made that their thing. They've got a Texas, a Florida State, a Oregon, and a Washington, plus their core. Yeah, I mean, Big Ten really has a shot. People buck when you try to say that they're even going to be better than the SEC when you get Florida State. But when you do the math, people, they want to look at recent history in the past 20 years. When you really look around at where programs are going, Dan Lanning at Oregon, Mike Norvell at Florida State, Ohio State with Ryan Day. We've yet to see what Sherman Moore is going to do that now that Harbaugh is completely removed. But it sure looked fine when he, had the levers when Harbaugh wasn't there the past couple of years. So. Yeah, the Big Ten is on the rise. There's no doubt about it.
If you look at Michigan's track record, Michigan can get anybody they want, anytime they want to. It's just what they have resources. I don't know if you guys have ever been on the campus, but the owner of the Miami Dolphins actually has a building on the campus of Michigan that's in the Miami Dolphins color. Mm-hmm. It's the only building, and it's a business building. When we went there, Joe Milton was Kalen's, what do you call him, tour guide, chaperone when he went on his visit. And that's the first time I ever seen a 6'5" quarterback other than Cam Newton up close. And I'm like, man, this is the quarterback.
That's a big old boy.
In that business center on the University of Michigan, it's about relationships,
Yep.
And Wayne Heisinger actually, has a building there on campus, and it's the Miami Dolphins colors. So
that's pretty neat.
Yeah. So we're going to win football games, but we're going to create some relationships in the meantime.
Yeah, and I think it'll help not only the sports programs, but obviously it's going to help academics. It's going to help research, all these other things, and that will grow wealth because what Florida State doesn't have, and you hear back from all these fan bases, which I am so stunned that the Cal and Stanford fan bases are so chirpy. Oh, our endowment. And I'm like, your endowment's great, but nobody wants you. Okay. and that's a great point to make. And believe me, your school is amazing. If I had a child that could get into Stanford or Cal, I'd have I'd be absolutely, but that's not what's driving this conversation right now. Right. Nobody gets that. But if Florida State could get into something like the Big Ten, get those research things, get that academic stuff, to an AAU status and all these things, think about what that does for the endowment. Think about what that would do to trickle down to the athletes, to everybody else. I think that's where people need to understand that, because Florida State joined the SEC, you're not going to be valued to the SEC as much as you would in the Big Ten.
No, and then the proximity of the two schools with Florida and Florida State, it's kind of the same proximity as like Alabama and Auburn. And it kind of takes away from our rivalry because, we're going to be stomping the Gators in the swamp for, time to be. And we want them to shout out to Billy Napier, keep him, whoever's the leader, keep him forever. Keep Mario forever down in the bottom.
The bottom, he said, not the bottom. From being in Georgia, we look at Florida as the bottom, not as, because it's the bottom of the state. Mm-hmm. And that's not a negative thing, but and from the football aspect, yes, keep them. Don't ever fire those guys. Matter of fact, give them the Jimbo contract.
Yeah, Napier seems like to me, and my take a couple months ago was like, Napier, you need to get the heck out of there. You need to go take a coordinator job, a head coaching job at a lower school, whatever the case may be. There's no incentive for you to stay. Well, he decided to stay. But now you're seeing every other day an assistant's leaving, another assistant's leaving. He's coming out in the media and saying, what Jimbo was saying before he left, stuff like, y'all ain't supporting right. Y'all need, all this complaining. Y'all need to be supporting right. And we're 18 months behind on NIL. We're just getting started. Like, I think he's pretty much daring them to fire him. He's just like, I'm going to get that he wants that golden parachute, so he's not going to resign. But it could be
I
a
wouldn't resign
really,
5
really
million.
rough.
You pay me up.
for you.
Yeah,
that kind of money.
look,
Me
I
neither.
don't blame him at all. Give me that money. I want that buyout. And he just hired like a third offensive line coach.
Yeah.
I think he's looking at them right now, just going, "Oh man, this buyout's going to be amazing, and I'm going to earn it earlier than I thought." Look, I do feel bad. I do think Billy Napier is actually a better in-game coach than Mario. I don't.
Yeah, there's no doubt there.
Like, I think this whole, I don't know what happened. I do think that he could have been a good coach. I don't know how it went absolutely so wrong, because I do think he's a pretty good in-game coach. Was it as bad when he took over? Because this seems like, you look at Mike Norvell, who took over after a little bit worse of a situation than what Billy Napier took over after Dan Mullen. I mean, Mullen went to a couple of SEC championship games. I'm so confused how it went so wrong.
That's
so
good
wrong.
though. We don't have that problem. We good.
No. I love it. I just, again, I like facts. I work in math and science, and I'm like, this just doesn't seem, something is off here. Something is wrong. It just doesn't make sense.
Mistakes were made. It resembles the Willie Taggart situation.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody's necessarily right or wrong, whatever the case may be. It just did not work out, and they've gotten to a point now where in his third year, they've got this crazy schedule, and it's just a bad spot. Unfortunate situation. I don't think Napier is that terrible of a coach, but he bit off more than he could chew with that Florida job and didn't get the level of support I think that he thought he would. And that NIL thing, the NIL and the transfer portal, pretty much, you ask, how did it get like this? I think that was it. He needed to come in and attack the portal, and they just didn't do it. They didn't make their roster better every year. They thought they could do it with true freshmen, but they got these freshmen in, and all their best players would leave every year. Miami's seen a little bit of the same thing. So it's like, you've got to be competitive to have retention at a certain level. You can only stack so many of them bad years. You've got to show some sort of progress. And it's like, you had a guy strength and conditioning that wasn't even lifting weights for 2 years. You finally make that hire, and then he leaves. You don't have a special teams coordinator. You got 3 offensive line coaches. It's just it's been an S show down there, and it is what it is. But
I think he's trying to get fired to get that money. That's what I think.
At this point,
I can't make any sense of it. But do you think DJ leaves if he gets fired?
Ooh.
Because I sure.
Oh yeah. I think he's gone.
If Billy gets fired, I'd say look for Texas A&M and Mike Elko to come in there and.
Elko is because he got resources, is probably going to be one to watch out at Texas A&M.
And sure. I believe Elko is very good friends with Lagaway's family. I'm just saying.
And he was on the staff at Texas A&M, so it's not like he's familiar with the territory and the landscape of what it takes to win at Texas A&M.
Yeah. And he took a couple visits there. I'm just saying, I don't know for sure. For some reason, Lagaway loves the school, but I think he loves Napier more. I don't think it's a school binding commitment, at least for me right now. I don't know. I guess something could change, but I do think it's a Napier thing. And if Florida loses that kid, this is all just yikes.
I'm glad we don't have those problems.
Mm-hmm.
For sure. Absolutely.
Lord have mercy. Absolutely.
Did you have any questions? I mean, I think we're at a pretty good spot here. I had an absolute blast. Did we have anything we wanted to cover before we get out of here as we close in on 90 minutes?
I don't think so. And not somebody saying Billy Napier is Nikki Haley. Come on.
You don't have to read the chat.
I'm sorry, it just made me laugh. Not Nikki. Come on. Give Billy Napier some credit. Give Billy Napier some credit.
We got spring game coming up. I'm excited to see what the kids going to do. We also got to watch out for, it's going to be another round of transfer portal.
Mm-hmm.
Are we over a scholarship at this point?
I believe we are, and then you got the restrictions coming in, unfortunately, but that's something we were talking about earlier. Hopefully with them blocking that. There's got to be. It didn't happen for Gerald Jackson, but maybe at least keep the suspension, get the scholarships back or something. But one good thing about having NIL is they can somewhat, handle that and pay preferred walk-ons, but it's not the same,
We'll be fine.
Oh yeah.
I'll probably come down to the spring game and hang out. Kalen, like I said, he'll be home for 3 weeks and then train, get ready for pro day. Then he's stuck there waiting on interviews and waiting on calls. So he'll be there from March 22nd until probably a week before the draft and come back home. So, it's good times in the Deloach household to have your son potentially get drafted by an NFL team. That's, a lot of excitement in our community, that wants to support him. I'm just going to stay tuned and wish the best for all of these kids, to get the opportunity to accomplish their dreams and their families.
It's going to be so fun hearing all those Noles names get called after so long, man. Woo, it's going to be fun.
Well, we're excited that you're going to come down to the spring game, George, and I'll be there too.
All right. Well, we have to hook up. You have to let me know your location so, the wife and I can come by and, hang out for a few and kind of move around. So I'm looking forward to actually meeting you guys in person and keep doing what you're doing. Keep putting good content out there despite what other people may say. And always try to tell the truth.
Absolutely.
Then you don't have to remember what you said.
It's okay to say I don't know.
Absolutely. Absolutely, man.
So
because like he just said, if you aren't telling the truth, it's hard to remember what you said.
Yep. If you tell the truth, you ain't got to remember them damn lies then. But yeah, okay, that's what I was going to say. So we'll be at the tailgate with CJ Wilson, Chris Frazier, and James Coleman, the 36 Degrees tailgate. So come through, everybody that's listening, get on Ticket Taylor, get with Chris and James and CJ and get those tickets. And it's going to be a blast. Super pumped that you'll be here. Definitely can't wait to see everybody.
All righty.
We love you guys.
Just reach out. I'm just a text away, a DM away, and I'll make myself available for good people.
Oh, thank you so much.
Absolutely. Rob Deloach is the man. He's not lying, man. I just took a text this morning, hit him up, see if he wanted to come on, and sure enough, he said he was available. We got to have a great conversation. Might as well leave you guys. We'll look at the beautiful play against Clemson one more time, and we'll hit the road.
Bye, guys.
All right, have a good night. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Yes, sir. Go Noles, baby.
Go Noles.